Welcome to the Jefferson Park and Neighborhood Watch update. Today's session is all about door security. Be smart. Don't have a screw loose. What I mean by that is, did you know that many doors that are installed have very, very short screws, 3/4 inch screws, less than 1 inch, that is screwing the door plate with the hinge to the door frame? Therefore, because the screw is so short, a criminal using a crowbar or some other kind of tool like that can easily separate that door from the frame. It's not a big job to replace those shorter 3/4 of an inch screws with longer ones. Try 1.5, 2, 2.5, even 3-inch screws. You'll have to take a ruler and measure the door frame and the 2x4 behind it, measure that width of that door frame area, and pick a screw that's pretty long, so that a criminal with a crowbar can't just easily pop that door off because the screws are so short. That's an inexpensive way to up the security on your door. Next, think about adding some locks, either to the top or the bottom, or preferably both. Recessed cane bolts, again, are available in most hardware stores. They're fairly inexpensive. So you can add one to the bottom. You can also add one to the top. If you had added a cane bolt to both the top and the bottom, and you have a regular lock in the middle, someone coming up to try to kick your door in is going to have a really hard time doing it. Middle plus top plus bottom equals much harder to bust through 3 locks at 3 different points on the door to get it open. Also, even if they do manage to get it open, they're going to be kicking for a while. They're going to be making a lot of noise, and these opportunists, they don't want to work for what they're going to steal, and they certainly don't want to get caught by making a lot of noise and hanging around too long. So please consider adding locks, such as inexpensive recessed cane bolts, to the bottom and or top of your existing doors. Now, garages are an especially troublesome issue. Most of the time, the locks that are put on a door going into the garage, they're not very high quality. Replace those that maybe have just a single key and a spring type of lock, which can be easily picked. Replace those with a deadbolt. Deadbolts are much more secure, and consider putting more than one on, such as one in the top 2/3 of the door and one in the bottom 2/3, so that they're separated, and it would be much harder to try to kick in. The same goes for this door as for the previous slide. Check and see how long those screws are. Odds are they're only 3/4 of an inch screws that are securing the door to the hinge and then into the door frame. So replace those with some longer screws, 1.5, 2-inch, 3-inch screws. Also, consider adding cane bolts to the inside of your garage door. You can also put a padlock through the runners. It's a little bit hard to see, but I'm going to use my mouse to circle over here. Garage doors usually open with a wheel on either side, a wheel on the left and a wheel on the right, going up and following a set of runners. Now then, if you drill a hole in the runner and you put a padlock in there, that acts as a block. I wouldn't put the padlock here. I would put the padlock in maybe the bottom foot of the door, of the runner. And that way, when you have a lock down here through a hole that you've drilled through the runner, you're not hurting the integrity of the door at all. That metal will withstand one little hole. But if you put a lock in there, then those thieves cannot lift that garage door up past that padlock that you have put in the runner. Now, there's a few different kinds of deadbolts. The advantages of deadbolts over those regular spring locks with a single key that you see is that there is no spring in them, so they can't be opened with a tool. It's very hard. It's harder to pick them, and they certainly can't be opened with just a credit card stuck into the door frame and trying to move that bolt piece. There are several different kinds of deadbolts. On the top here, you see a single cylinder. Often you'll see this with a little knob. Now, knobs are great if you don't have any windows in your doors. However, if a thief is able to break a window, he can just reach in, turn that knob, and open up that lock. So consider investing in what's called a double cylinder. you need a key to open it, whether from the inside or the outside. A little less convenient for you, but should you have a door with a window in it where a thief could break a window, he's not going to be able to get that deadbolt out. Therefore, if you have a big screen TV, he's going to have a really hard time removing it from the house. The last type is called a double cylinder with a captive cylinder. This is kind of neat. If you have kids maybe, or you want a little more something that's a little bit easier, a little more convenient, you can get these. Now this does have a little turn key. However, in order to get that turn key out, you have to put a key in the other side and turn it a certain degree. That means that when you leave the house and you lock it from the outside, this back lock, this key cannot be pulled out. You cannot turn it. And that's an advantage if you have windows in your doors. Audible door alarms are actually a very economically sound way to ensure added security with your doors. They're very inexpensive for the most part. So even if you don't have a home alarm that is wired to all your doors and windows, you can pick up this top left travel door alarm for somewhere between $10 and $15. Once that door is opened, it produces an audible sound that everyone can hear. To the right, we've got a magnetic door and window alarm. You can get them for doors. They also work on windows. You can get these at the dollar store for a single dollar, but they usually range from about $5 to $20 for the really fancy ones that have, that are wireless, that have maybe a key fob. So consider investing in something like that for your doors and your windows in places like your basement or your garage. At the bottom left here, we have a vibration detector door alarm. So it doesn't slide into anything. Perhaps you don't have a good locking mechanism on a door somewhere. These are great for bedroom doors also. You can simply put it around the handle, and once a vibration is felt, there's an audible alarm that starts ringing. The final one that I want you to consider is what's called a door stop. These you can move around. They're not screwed into the floor or anything. And when a door is open, it's going to hit it. It's going to hit that door stop, and an alarm goes off. Again, you can get this for anywhere between $5 and $30. So I want to emphasize that you should think about not just the main doors to your house, but think about the doors and the windows that are perhaps going to other parts of your house, like the basement or the garage or some kind of an outbuilding. You can use one or more of these types of inexpensive alarms, and probably for $50 or less, you can add alarms that will notify not only you, but the neighbors if someone tries to access your outbuildings or your basement. That would conclude our Jefferson Park Neighborhood Watch update all about door security. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for your time.